This is Only Horror. If you can hear me, then it's already too late. Let's begin. The sign said trail closed after sunset, but someone had carved a second message underneath it. If you hear your name, keep walking. We laughed when we saw it, because it felt fake, like something a bored local kid scratched in to scare people. The real warning looked old and sun-faded. The chain across the entrance was rusted. The path beyond it looked perfectly normal. Tyler was already stepping over the chain. It was me, Tyler, his cousin Jenna, and Mark. We had started our hike too late and wanted to reach a lookout before dark. The main trail looped the long way. Tyler kept saying this old service trail was a shortcut. So we took it. At first it felt like the right call. The path was narrow but clear, packed dirt and roots, with late sunlight coming through the trees. Jenna kept stopping to take pictures. Mark had a dead speaker clipped to his bag. Tyler walked ahead like he knew exactly where he was going. The first thing that bothered me was a muddy stretch where earlier rain had collected. There were fresh prints beside the stones people used to cross. Not ours. The edges were still sharp. Several boot prints, all heading deeper in. None coming back. I pointed them out. Tyler barely looked. Probably came out another way, he said. That made enough sense for us to keep moving. The woods got denser. We stopped seeing trail markers. Tyler said it used to be a maintenance path and probably was not marked the same way. That was the first excuse. A little later, Jenna stopped and looked off into the trees. Did one of you just say my name? None of us had. Tyler said there were probably people on the main trail and sound carried weird out there. That was the second excuse. We kept walking. A few minutes later, Mark touched my arm and nodded to the right. At first, I didn't see anything. Then I thought I saw a person standing between the trees about 30 feet off the trail. By the time I focused, it was gone. Tyler told us we were spooking ourselves. Then we passed the same split cedar tree twice. Jenna had taken a picture of it the first time because one side was blackened and looked like a face. When we saw it again, she pulled up the photo and held it beside the trunk. Same tree. Nobody had a good explanation for that. Tyler checked the map on his phone, even though we had no signal. He frowned and said we should have hit the ridge by then. The light in the woods had gone from orange to gray. We all started walking closer together. Then we found a strip of blue fabric tied to a branch at eye level. It was from Jenna's flannel. She grabbed her sleeve. A piece was missing from the cuff. She said she must have snagged it earlier. Maybe. But the fabric was tied in a neat knot. We turned around after that. It should have felt better, but it didn't. We walked fast, waiting to hear the road or see some sign of the main trail. Nothing. Just our steps and the woods pressing in around them. Then Mark asked where Jenna was. I looked behind me. She had been there seconds earlier. Now the trail was empty. Tyler started shouting for her. I told him to stop because of what the sign had said, and he looked at me like I was crazy and yelled louder. We hurried back. I found Jenna's phone in the leaves with the flashlight on, and the screen cracked. Then she stepped onto the trail from our left, like she had only wandered off for a minute. She looked annoyed. She asked why we were all yelling. Tyler grabbed her shoulders. She pulled away and said she saw what looked like a side path and got turned around. Her voice sounded normal. Her face looked normal. Mark asked where her phone was. She looked down at her empty hand like she had forgotten it existed. I held it up. She stared at it a second too long before taking it. That was the first thing. The second was smaller. Jenna had a habit when she was nervous of rubbing the side of her thumb against her finger. Tiny motion, constant. Standing there after disappearing in the woods, she was completely still. Tyler asked if she was hurt. She said no. He asked how far she went. She said she did not know. Then, after a pause that made all of us look at her, she asked if we were still going to the lookout. Nobody answered. We started moving again, but it felt different. Jenna was with us. That did not feel the same as having found her. It got darker. We used our phone flashlights. The beams made everything outside them look farther away. Once Jenna asked if my sister was still living in Boston. She knew my sister lived in Hartford. A minute later, Mark whispered that she had asked him if Tyler still drove the truck he sold last year. We did not let her hear us talking. The trail ended at a shallow creek. Tyler admitted he had no idea where we were. He swept his flashlight across the trees on the far bank, and for a second the beam caught shapes standing there. 3 of them, maybe 4, still and waiting. Then the light shook away, and when it came back there was nothing. Tyler said we were crossing. Jenna asked, why in this calm, curious voice that made me look at her. Not scared, not annoyed, just curious. Tyler stepped into the creek. We followed. The water soaked my shoes and went halfway up my shins. Jenna came last. I watched her the whole time. On the far side, Tyler slipped climbing the bank and dropped his flashlight. It rolled, beam spinning back across the creek. For 1 second it lit the opposite bank. Jenna was still standing there. Dry, not behind us in the water, not climbing out. Standing on the bank we had just left, looking straight at us. I made a sound that was not a word. Tyler snatched up the light and swung it back. Jenna was beside Mark, jeans dark and wet from the creek. The other side was empty. Nobody tried to explain it. Tyler started moving fast, almost running. We followed. Behind us I heard splashing in the creek, after we were already well past it, like several people crossing together. Then Jenna laughed, just once. Mark snapped and asked what was funny. She said I thought I heard my name. Those were the last words she said, in her own voice. We saw the road through the trees a few minutes later. Tyler's car. Relief hit hard enough to hurt. Tyler ran for it. So did Mark. I was right behind them when I heard Jenna call from the woods to our left. Wait up! I turned because it was automatic. She was standing 10 feet inside the trees, dry again, one hand lifted in a small wave. At the same time, something hit my back hard enough to shove me forward. Wet hands. Mark caught my arm before I fell. I spun around with my light shaking all over the place. Jenna was behind us on the trail, soaked to the knees, staring at the trees with an expression I had not seen from her all night. Fear. Real fear. The thing in the woods wore her face for one more second. Then it stepped back and was gone. We got in the car without shutting the doors right away. Tyler started the engine so hard he ground the key. Jenna sat in the middle of the back seat, hugging herself, shaking so badly her teeth clicked. No one spoke until we were back on the main road. Then Tyler asked what happened when she disappeared. Jenna started crying before she answered. She said she heard him calling for her from off the trail. Tyler specifically. She saw someone through the trees in his gray shirt and followed for seconds before realizing the distance never changed. She said when it turned around, it had Tyler's face, but wrong, not deformed, just unfinished, like it had remembered the parts too late. After that, she ran. She said she could hear us nearby the whole time, sometimes ahead of her, sometimes behind, but whenever she reached the trail, we were not there. When I came back, how long had I been gone? We all gave different answers. That is the part I think about most. Not the sign, not hearing her voice in two places, not seeing her on both sides of the creek. It is that none of us agree. Tyler says 2 minutes. Mark says at least 10. I would have sworn it was 5. At the trail entrance, I looked back once through the rear glass at the sign under the lot light. There were muddy prints around it, a lot of them, all facing out toward the parking lot, none heading in. We never went back. Jenna stopped hiking. Tyler sold the car that winter. Mark will not talk about that night if anyone else is around. 3 weeks later, Jenna texted our group chat at 1:14 in the morning. Do you guys remember asking if we were still going to the lookout? None of us answered right away. Then she sent another message. I do not remember saying that. The typing bubble appeared under Tyler's name and vanished. Before he could send anything, Jenna posted a picture. It was her bathroom mirror, fogged from a shower. Written across the glass in a clear line through the steam were 5 words. I heard your name too. I called her 3 times. She did not answer. When she finally picked up the next afternoon, she told me she had slept at her sister's place and had not been home since work the day before. She swore the picture had not been on her phone until that morning. I asked if she had sent it. She went quiet. Then she asked me something I cannot answer. If I didn't send it, who keeps talking to you like I'm still there? If you enjoyed tonight's story, drop a comment and tell me where you're listening from. And if you want more horror like this, make sure you're subscribed. New stories are coming soon. Until next time, keep the lights on.